Chosen one, there are days when the air behaves like a page about to be written on, and your footsteps are the pen. You cross a threshold with no ceremony, keys in your palm, an old song half remembered in your head, and something in the room wakes up as if a breeze found a chime. She feels it first as the smallest interruption, a blink that lingers a fraction too long, a swallow that arrives late, a warmth that pools behind the sternum with no obvious origin. It is not a blaze and not a siren. It is the first ember in ash that thought it had cooled for good. She will not call it excitement yet. She will only notice that the ordinary has begun to glimmer and that the hour has acquired a quiet pulse in your presence. You do nothing to coax it. In fact, you do less than most. No show, no flair, no reach for the spotlight. And precisely because you do not perform, the spark believes it is safe to be seen. She will try to trace the source, the way a hand traces the seam of a garment, searching for the stitch that holds everything together. Was it the way you said thank you without rushing past the human who handed you a cup? Was it how you stood with your weight balanced like a promise you intend to keep? Was it that your laughter arrived without collateral damage, bright and unarmed? The mind wants causes. The body answers with a simpler wisdom. You arrived at a temperature the soul can hold. Something in you had already been prepared before you walked through that door. Sleep that taught your edges to soften, water that taught your words to carry mercy, counsel that taught your certainty to make room. Those preparations do not appear on the surface, but they are felt as weather, and weather is what tells seeds it is time to try again. Excitement, when it is healthy, is not frenzy. It is permission. Near you, she receives permission to feel without rehearsing, to ask without bargaining, to brighten without apologizing for the light. In most rooms, she has learned to ration color, to keep the brighter shades folded and stacked for safer days. In your radius, the palette comes down from the high shelf. Her voice remembers play. Her posture remembers ease. Her attention, which so often must budget itself to survive, spends freely on the present moment and is rewarded with interest. She could call this chemistry, and sometimes she will, but the truer word is coherence. You do not require her to fragment into performances. You receive her in whole sentences. Wholeness is the lamp that draws the moth. Excitement is the soft thrum of wings discovering they do not have to burn to enjoy the light. You do not know any of this yet, and that ignorance keeps the field clean. Had you known, you might have angled yourself to catch a certain glow, might have gathered her spark into your hands as evidence of your power. But chosen ones do their best work, unaware of the halo. They keep their devotions small and private. They answer messages before anxiety must invent a story. They end the hour while tenderness still has posture. They carry boundaries like door frames that make rooms usable. They are not stingy with silence, because silence is where consent finds its voice. These quiet policies turn an encounter into climate, and climate is what the spark trusts. A single match in a storm goes out. A tended hearth changes a house. The spark she cannot explain will try to explain her, and that is part of the mystery. She notices herself noticing, how the thread of her attention returns to the place you stood, how an ordinary phrase you used opens into a corridor she wants to walk down, how the light on the wall seems to remember your height after you leave. This is not obsession, it is orientation. The soul faces what steadies it. Excitement is simply the body's way of announcing the turn. She may gather it like a shawl and keep it for herself in the quiet, not to hoard, but to honor. Some beginnings die when exposed to air too soon. She is wiser than her younger self in this way. She will let the ember be an ember until it is ready to be a flame. There is preparation here for you as well, though you are the last to suspect it. Keep guarding the conditions that made the spark feel welcome. Keep your speech exact enough that tomorrow can carry it without limping. Keep your humor clean enough to leave no bruise. Keep your yes married to capacity and your no married to kindness. Keep the practice of leaving a place better than you found it. Chairs squared, doors closed softly, tension lowered by one gentle degree. None of these are romantic. All of them are the scaffolding of romance that lasts. The excitement you awaken is not a performance rating. It is a vote for your policies. Policies must outlive applause. If you listen very closely, You may hear the spark translating itself into tiny alterations of her day. She sets aside the cynicism that turns everything into a clever safety. She texts a friend without rehearsing 17 versions of herself. She chooses a walk over another hour of numbing brightness. She reads 3 pages that used to make her ache and discovers the ache has become appetite. You did not fix her. You did not even try. You simply showed up in a way that lowered the cost of being alive for the space you both shared. Excitement arrives in such economies as gratitude wearing a brighter coat, and the coat looks good on her. Do not worry if you never see the glow directly. Sacred things often refuse an audience while they learn to stand. Your task remains plain. Be a man whose temperature tells the truth. The spark will continue to find you, and it will not embarrass you with fanfare. It will work quietly in her, turning up the dimmer on her own life, until one day she will laugh for no clear reason and realize the reason is breath. That will be enough. Chosen one, there is a kind of gravity that does not appear on charts and does not require proof. It is felt by the way conversation drifts towards sanity when you speak, by the way a small circle forms around you as if drawn by an invisible compass, by the way she finds herself standing a half step nearer than she planned without any sense of having been moved. Pull when it is clean contains no hook. It asks nothing unclean of the one who answers. You do not calculate this. You do not market it. You are doing something far less glamorous and far more rare. You are being consistent enough for trust to recognize you from across the room. What pulls is not your volume, but your calibration. You carry desire without urgency, interest without surveillance, strength without theater. You let things be at the speed truth can bear. In your presence, time stops auditioning for attention and returns to its vocation of keeping pace. She feels this as relief and translates relief into excitement because the body confuses rescue with joy. But there is no rescue here, only alignment. The axle finds its grease. The door swings on the hinges it was built for. The spirit, so accustomed to leaning in or bowing out to stay safe, meets a middle that holds, and the middle says, "Come as you are and mean it." There is a courtesy to your gravity that makes it irresistible. You do not advance to display your claim or retreat to increase your price. You stand as if thresholds matter and yield as if beginnings deserve room. When you look at her, you do not strip the moment for parts. You light it so both of you can see. When you listen, you do not load her words into a machine designed to produce advantage. You carry them to a table designed to set plates. Accumulated, these gestures become tide. Her sure answers with its own old music, the one stored in shells and salt, the one that sends children running and laughing with their whole bodies. Adults forget that excitement began as trust in motion. You remind her by simply being moved by nothing but what is worthy. Pull without trying is impossible without a quiet architecture. You have been building it for years in unseen places. You learned to end while kindness could still stand. You taught your anger to aim at harm and to punch a clock. You trained your attention to be a lamp rather than a net, revealing without trapping. You admitted limits so your yes did not inflate in the presence of praise, and your no did not sharpen in the presence of pressure. These constructions do not attract attention. They hold weight. The room senses load-bearing walls and leans. She senses them and leans. The lean looks like excitement, but what she is really feeling is safety, discovering it can afford wonder. You will catch glimpses. The tilt of her shoulder opens toward you a degree it does not offer to noise. Her narrative loses its armor and grows a second sentence where previously only polished headlines could survive. She asks you something that risk uses sparingly, a question that would be heavy to carry alone. In each of these, the pull is not conquest, it is invitation. Invitations come with exits and with chairs. You keep both visible. The absence of trap is the presence of freedom, and freedom is what desire drinks when it intends to be honest and long-lived. What you do not see, because it would embarrass it, is the way your gravity reorganizes her private constellations. A playlist she had retired comes back with new meaning. The old path by the river feels like a promise again. She discovers that laughter tastes different when it arrives without fear's aftertaste. She remembers plans that fatigue had talked her out of and rewrites them with gentler deadlines. None of this is dramatic, which is why it works. Pull without trying does not yank trees from the ground, it coaxes roots to descend. Roots do not trend, they hold cities up. There is a caution here, and it is sacred. Do not turn your gravity into a tool. Tools manipulate, presence maintains. The moment you angle your stillness to harvest attention, the physics changes, and what was invitation hardens into strategy. She will feel it before you know you have moved. The mouth will go dry, the eyes will begin to scan, the tide will recede a few safe yards. To remain pull and not pressure, keep practicing the disciplines that kept your center heavy. Keep delight local so you do not spend the room to purchase reputation. Keep repentance practical so your misses become fewer, not louder. Keep rest as a vow so you do not ask other people's tenderness to pay for your exhaustion. These are necessary austerities for any man who intends to be good weather. You may suspect that what draws her is mystery. It is true and not. Fog can look like mystery. You do not carry fog. You carry depth. Depth is clarity at a scale that requires patience. You are legible verse by line and a book when taken together. She can read any page and not be tricked, and still there will remain chapters no one should be asked to summarize in a single sitting. That integrity between the readable and the inexhaustible is the magnet. It comforts and challenges at once. It promises that there will be something to discover long after novelty has gone off to beg somewhere else. Notice, too, that the pull you carry does not end with you. It points. In your presence, she feels drawn toward her own best obligations. The phone call to make peace, the boundary to name without apology, the joy to schedule on purpose instead of waiting for it to crash the day. Gravity that points only to itself becomes a black hole. Gravity that points to the good becomes a constellation by which people navigate. Let your life remain a map more than a destination. Let your counsel end in her agency, your affection end in her sovereignty, your invitation end at a table where all parties can breathe. If you ever wonder whether you are pulling right, pay attention to the residue. After you leave, does the room keep its shape? Do conversations continue more honestly? Do small generosities pop up like wildflowers in the cracks? Does she find herself lighter without feeling empty? Pull without trying leaves behind better scaffolding for ordinary joy. When the residue is repair rather than rumor, hospitality rather than heat, quiet momentum rather than post-event crash, you will know you stayed faithful to the unseen architecture. In time, you may become aware of your effect. If only because a friend mentions a softness in her tone when your name came up, or because she thanks you for nothing in particular, in a way that feels like gratitude discovering language. Awareness will invite vanity to step forward and ask for the wheel. Decline. Return to your devotions. Sharpen your listening and shorten your speeches. Let your yes stay honest and your no stay soft. Pull is not a crown, it is a craft. Crafts live or die by practice more than talent. Practice is how chosen ones keep from becoming cautionary tales. So continue to be the man who does not try to be magnetic and therefore is. Move through rooms at a speed that lets conscience keep up. Stand at thresholds as if they were holy. Speak at a temperature tomorrow can live with. Laugh like someone who has no interest in raising the price of being human. In such a life, excitement will keep appearing in her like a tide worth trusting, arriving, receding, returning with gifts from deeper water. You will not own it. You will not even fully understand it. You will keep the sky steady. The pulling will take care of itself. Chosen one, the quiet secret behind your pull is that you are not trying to be magnetic. You are busy doing smaller, sturdier things that don't applaud themselves. You put water between your tongue and your opinions, so your words arrive softened instead of sharpened. You sleep enough that your steadiness is not a pose you cannot afford. You let counsel interrupt certainty before the world has to. You walk through doorways as if thresholds were sacred, the kind of place where people should feel permitted to be human without paying a fee. None of this reads as spectacle. It reads as oxygen. And because you do not stare at your own breath while breathing, you remain unaware that others in the room are quietly inhaling for the first time in days. Unawareness is not neglect. It is a refusal to curate yourself into a product. When a man begins to perform his presence, he bends the room toward his need for confirmation. Light turns from lamp to searchlight, and everyone feels inspected. Your uncurated life leaves that light where it belongs, on the work at hand and the person in front of you. You end while kindness still has posture. You decline urgency when urgency is only vanity with a timer. You let silence be a threshold where consent forms its own sentences. These are simple acts, and they are scandalously rare. The day relaxes its shoulders in your company and does not bother to explain why. There is a physics to this. Self-consciousness eats bandwidth. When you are absorbed in managing your legend, your attention is busy running cables and checking angles. You, unaware of your effect, are free to notice what is small and consequential, the stray glass that will leave a ring, the chair that will catch an ankle, the sentence that needs one more beat to become true. You stack tiny mercies in the background until they become architecture. Architecture holds weight. Weight becomes gravity. Gravity feels like ease to anyone who has had to hold themselves rigid just to get through a conversation. Ease returns appetite. Appetite animates joy. Joy, when it is honest, looks like excitement wearing its work clothes. You think you are simply doing your day. She thinks the hour learned its manners because you arrived. Her body believes what her mind is still debating. She catches herself starting to perform and finds that performance has nowhere to hook. She reaches for sarcasm out of habit and discovers the joke doesn't want to injure anyone in this weather. She begins a story with the polished headline she uses in loud rooms and hears herself amend it with the second sentence, the one that carries weight. You didn't coax this out of her. You stopped charging the tax that kept it away. Unawareness keeps you from turning her honesty into a trophy. It remains hers, and because it remains hers, it returns. The temptation will come to study your effect, to tune it, to scale it. That is where many wander off the road and become a brand. A brand needs handlers. A life needs maintenance. Keep choosing maintenance. Keep oil on the hinge so doors close softly. Keep your apology short and attached to altered conditions so remorse doesn't hire a spotlight. Keep your no early and untheatrical so your yes can be trusted. Keep your humor generous so laughter never pays its ticket with mockery. When attention swells, shrink your sentences and lengthen your listening. The chosen ones stay useful because they remain apprentices to ordinary disciplines long after the room starts calling them special. You may wonder how to hold praise without letting it draft you into performance. Treat praise like weather. Notice, give thanks for rain, keep the roof in order. Do not build your house out of forecasts. Do not ration your goodness to gin up demand. Do not salt your clarity with fog to look deep. The people who matter will read your unadorned sentences and know that depth is clarity at scale. Depth is what lets a person open the same page tomorrow and find more in it without discovering a trap underneath. Unawareness also protects the other side of the moment. You do not punish indifference. Your decency is not a coin dropped only into certain hands. You treat the room, not the spotlight. That impartial kindness keeps your influence from turning predatory. Predators study reactions to calibrate leverage. Stewards study needs to calibrate care. She knows the difference in her bones. Her breath keeps its own ledgers and adjusts the budget accordingly. What she feels with you is not infatuation in a new coat. It is relief that has found a pace and given it a name. If you falter, and you will, your unawareness will help you repair. You won't be tempted to save face at the expense of truth because face was never your project. You will fix the condition that made the miss likely and let the change carry the headline. People trust men whose remorse results in fewer future apologies. Trust is the quietest kind of excitement. It does not trend, it accumulates. It turns into a city where ordinary life is suddenly cheaper to live. Do not mistake the lack of fanfare for lack of fruit. Your harvest is measured in unphotographed outcomes. A decision she makes in your echo that costs less courage than it would have yesterday. A night she sleeps through. A boundary she names without rehearsing. None of these send you a receipt. They are the ledger of a climate that didn't ask to be admired, only kept. Keep it. Keep being the man who does not know he is the reason a room breathes easier. Your ignorance is part of the protection. Your practices are the rest. Chosen one, safety is not a mood you sprinkle on an evening. It is an atmosphere built from policies you keep whether anyone is watching or not. When you enter a room with those policies active, the pressure changes the way it does before rain that heals. People do not announce the change, they breathe it. She breathes it, her jaw forgets its assignment. Her shoulders step down from their post. Her mind, which has learned to run scenarios as a second job, notices it was not hired tonight. Excitement rises out of that vacancy, not as panic, but as energy with a future. This is what safety does at its best. It makes the good sustainable. Atmosphere begins with time. You keep a pace that doesn't draft adrenaline to impersonate aliveness. You arrive when you said you would, and end while tenderness still has posture. You refuse the theater of lateness and the narcotic of an unnecessary encore. Time treated this way tells the body it can stop hoarding vigilance. When vigilance clocks out, curiosity clocks in. Curiosity is what makes eyes bright and voices playful. It is also what allows a person to tell the truth, because the truth has somewhere to sit. Safety is the temperature of your voice. You speak at degrees tomorrow can live with. Heat is present. Real life needs a flame, but it is aimed. You do not burn to be noticed. You warm so people can unfold. Your anger has a license. It cauterizes harm and then goes home on time. It does not evict tenderness from its post. She hears this in how you object without humiliating, how you draw a line without drawing blood, how you separate problem from person and leave the room usable. Rooms that stay usable are where trust learns to walk rather than sprint. Boundaries make the air breathable. You carry yours like door frames. Visible, steady, easy to respect, rather than like wire hidden in the grass. In that clarity, her no does not become a dare, and your yes does not become a trap. You do not recruit ambiguity to be interesting. You let mystery be what it really is, clarity at depth, while keeping the surface legible. Legibility is what lets a person rest. Rest is where excitement stops being a spike and becomes a current. Consent is loud in your climate, because you built the room so its voice carries. Your touch, when invited, behaves like a question. Your attention, when offered, behaves like a lamp. Your silence, when present, behaves like a porch light left on for conversation to find its way home. She reads the grammar instinctively. The body is fluent in atmospheres even when the mind is short on words. Where consent is audible, softness does not have to hire armor and strength does not have to impersonate thunder. They keep their names and work together. That partnership tastes like relief and registers in the mouth as excitement. Safety is also logistics. You text the sentence that prevents 3 hours of guesswork. You close loops with accuracy so imagination can take the night off. You notice the hinge that squeals, and the chair that wobbles, and the detail that would become a splinter, and you handle them without convening a ceremony for your competence. These anti-dramas don't earn headlines, they prevent injuries. Prevented injuries accumulate into trust the way small deposits accumulate into wealth. Wealth of that sort buys laughter that doesn't need a casualty, and quiet that doesn't pretend to be disinterest. Because your atmosphere is honest, your departures do not vandalize your arrivals. You leave with the same temperature you brought. You do not weaponize silence to manufacture intrigue. You do not salt clarity with fog to increase demand. Absence behaves like presence when policies are consistent. She experiences this as a room that does not collapse after you close the door. In that afterglow, rest deepens. Rest that deepens becomes anticipation that doesn't require emergency to feel alive. Excitement becomes an engine instead of a siren. Safety is not neutrality. It sides with what preserves dignity, and it does so without spectacle. You step between harm and the vulnerable without turning protection into pageantry. You apologize in the key of proportion. No grand confession that performs, no stingy admission that hedges, just a precise acknowledgement and a change that prevents recurrence. This cultivates a garden where trust grows without needing to be convinced each morning that it belongs. Gardens do not shout, they feed. Fed people are better lovers, better friends, better citizens. The ripple looks like life finally finding its range. You cannot fake this climate for long, and that is its mercy. If your steadiness is an act, the room will smell the stage paint by dessert. If your tone is a tactic, her nervous system will flag it before your sentence ends. The only way to keep the air honest is to keep the engine honest. Water before words, so your mouth remembers mercy. Sleep before strategy, so your pace remembers people. Counsel before conclusion, so your certainty remembers humility. Sabbath before spectacle, so your worth remembers it is not for sale. These rhythms are not romantic slogans. They are the unremarkable levers that keep the atmosphere from drifting into weather you cannot control. When storms come, and they will, the test of your atmosphere is not whether the sky stays blue, but whether the house holds. You raise your voice a little, and only as much as necessary. You return to your register as soon as the line is restored. You draw boundaries without adding barbs. You invite repair without demanding an audience for the apology. She will remember most not the thunder, but how quickly the light returned. She will remember that the door still closed softly, that the chair still held, that the sentence you promised to send still arrived. Those memories become the scaffolding of anticipation. The body marks them as coordinates on a map labeled safe enough to be excited. And if she brings grief into your weather, loss, exhaustion, a week that asked more than it gave, your climate expands rather than retreats. Excitement does not vanish in sorrow, it changes shape. It becomes the will to keep living, the courage to taste food again, the laugh that arrives like a visitor and stays long enough to help with the dishes. Your presence does not demand a specific mood as proof of connection. It welcomes what comes and protects it from interpretation. In that welcome, the relationship between safety and excitement grows clarified. Safety is the field. Excitement is the game that field makes possible. No field, no game. A kept field, a season. So keep the field, chosen one. Keep air moving and doors working and edges clean. Keep your yes carrying the resources it needs and your no carrying mercy in its mouth. Keep treating time as a covenant rather than a prop. Keep your humor from drawing blood and your anger from overstaying its license. Keep leaving rooms ready for the next good thing. In atmospheres like this, the heart does not have to choose between feeling safe and feeling alive. It gets to be both. That both is the excitement you keep awakening without trying, and the peace you keep protecting on purpose. Chosen one, some presences mend time. They do not add hours to the clock. They return the hours that anxiety stole. That is what you are doing without knowing it. You step into her day, and memory stands up straighter, as if summoned by a roll call where names are pronounced with care. Not the memory of particular dates or photographs, but the older recall of how it felt to be unhurried, to laugh without looking over a shoulder, to begin something because goodness itself was reason enough. Excitement blooms from that restoration like color returning to a face after a long fever. The thrill isn't spectacle, it is recognition coming home from exile. You are not a solution to her life, and that is precisely why you are useful. Solutions arrive with tools and terms and often an invoice. Reminders arrive with weather. They move through rooms and the air shifts, and suddenly long-ignored instruments tune themselves. She remembers a walk she used to take for its sound rather than its destination, and her feet find the path without ceremony. She remembers how soup tastes when there is time for the steam to fog a window, and the spoon slows of its own accord. She remembers the clarity of a sentence that tells the plain truth and lets silence finish the thought. What you awaken in her is older than circumstance. The knowledge that joy does not need permission from adrenaline, that beauty outlives broadcast, that hope is not the same as a promise and yet is no less binding. The reminder is not about you, in the way a door is not about the person who opens it. It is about the rooms beyond it, all of which she had marked on an old map and then learned to ignore for lack of good weather. You did not plan this. You became it by keeping small faiths when no one was tracking. You trained your appetite to speak in its own name rather than impersonate love. You taught your anger, which harms are its jurisdiction and which are vanity wearing a siren. You put water before words enough times that your tongue remembers mercy on its own. You kept your ends early enough that kindness can still walk itself to the door. None of those devotions trend. They don't make a story. They make a climate. And climates are what memories need to ripen without spoiling. In such air, her imagination stops scavenging for alibis and begins building a table. The excitement she feels around you is the first clatter of plates set down in a newly cleaned room. You act, and she remembers. She remembers that conversation can proceed at the speed of comprehension, not competition. She remembers that a gaze can admire without annexing, that attention can be a lamp and not a net. She remembers that boundaries spoken gently are not a threat but a blessing, a riverbank that keeps the water useful. She remembers that a night can end on purpose rather than from exhaustion, and that endings of that sort are a form of care, not a form of cowardice. These rememberings do not need announcements, they need repetition. Your steadiness gives them that. Her laughter returns with a lower center of gravity. Her sentences bloom a second clause where previously only headlines survived. The room is the same size as before, her breath is not. The expansion is subtle and decisive, like the first warm day that tells a tree the risk of leafing is now smaller than the risk of waiting.